that summer, and some of my best friends have come from my time at the radio station. And I actually see Mike Corbett just logged on. He is one of my friends in the world, and him and I were broadcast together. And I see another Hofstra guy logging on too, Dan Savarino, and I work together now as we run some of the Hofstra program. So that's kind of the beginning of it. I don't know if you wanted more than that. That's the beginning.
Oh yeah, so like obviously you did a lot of work with NBC Sports, and then you evolved into Fantasy Sports Network, and you did a lot of stuff with that. Now you do NHL Network, and so you've been through all over the scope. So that's a really good thing. But so explain to me what is experience like working with these people, and what experience you to get from each network or station you've been at.
I mean, I think every network is different for many reasons. I mean, sometimes it's the producers or program directors, like the bosses, and you get a different vibe at different places. And then sometimes it is the personalities, the people that you're working with. I mean, I can tell you right now, NHL Network, MLB Network, and DAZN, 3 places I work currently. Well, obviously not currently that much because of the pandemic, but I am employed by them. Everyone I work with is amazing. And CBS Sports Network, I'm going to be going into my 5th season doing Tops, that other pregame show. And I mean, working with, Jeff Ratcliffe, and then Amy and BT and Fletch and Adam Shine. And it's been a dream come true to work with all of them. And now I'm back at Sirius XM also. I was there in 2013, and now I actually recently went back there, and now I'm hosting shows. I was an update anchor when I was originally there.
I love when you guys do the fantasy football show on CBS Sports Network. You give some really good informative information on that show, and I'm hoping. Obviously, there's no sports, but I'm just hoping some of the sports come back pretty soon. But I want to talk to you about a few of the sports, especially NFL. What are your thoughts on NFL draft, NFL free agency? It's been crazy so far in the NFL.
I thought that the NFL and ESPN nailed it with the draft. I thought they did a fantastic job. It gave all of us something, especially the sports fans, a little something to kind of watch and really dive into. There weren't any real snafus or anything like that. There weren't any major mistakes. The draft went off pretty well. The offseason, it's been awesome. I mean, when we were, as sports fans, kind of looking for something to monitor, Tom Brady chose to go to Tampa Bay, and that kind of exploded, and it made everything.
That was your friend Mike Corbett said he has never won our fantasy football.
All right, so if we're going to get into this, thanks, Mike. So I'm in sometimes 5, 6, 7 leagues each season, right? And my friend league, which he is in, and we have been doing, I guess it is now 17 years. Maybe 17, 18 years. I've been to the finals a few times. I've been to the semifinals a few times. For some reason or other, I have never won that league. It is 12 they're in. We have very strict rules with pickups and all that kind of stuff. And just for some reason, the ball has never bounced my way. I believe Mike, who's calling me out on this one, has won it either once or twice. And he's one of the original guys. Of the 12 people in it, we have had probably about 6 or 7 have been in since the beginning.
Interesting. Interesting. So who in the draft? Who was your biggest surprises, shockers, head scratchers, and then who's your fantasy sleepers? I mean, I know it's too early for this, but I just want to get your fantasy sleepers and in the draft.
All right, so draft-wise, I mean, obviously, I think, Jordan Love getting picked by the Packers surprised everybody. It just felt weird. It felt not necessary when they had other needs. I think Andrew Thomas has potential as an offensive lineman for the Giants. He wasn't my number 1 ranked guy. That being said, the top 4 offensive linemen were all basically choose which one you wanted, so I kind of get that. Those are kind of the 2 that really stood out to me. I guess Jalen Hurts jumps out to a lot of people too, because you don't really need that backup quarterback per se in Philly. But I think that nowadays it's a copycat league, right? We saw this with Wildcat football back in the day. We see it with RPO, and now we saw Taysom Hill be a very integral part to what the Saints were doing. So I think other teams are now going to look for that, and that could be a Jalen Hurts.
Obviously, you guys you're not doing any fantasy sleepers yet because it's too early and we don't know when the season is going to start. But so as you know, I'm a big Dallas Cowboy fan, and what are your thoughts on that and their draft and then free agency?
So I'll tell you this, losing Byron Jones is going to hurt, but let's talk about the offensive end. I think that Dak Prescott, who was, second in the league in passing yardage last year, and I know that a lot of people are going to throw shade at him and say that they were empty yards. Sometimes it was when the team was trailing. He couldn't win the big game. Forget it. We're talking fantasy football. Dak Prescott was a last year, and now he's got a healthy offensive line, we believe. Ezekiel Elliott, one of the 3 or 4 best running backs in the NFL, and probably the third fantasy running back this upcoming year. You've got the rest of the wide receiving core that now adds CeeDee Lamb. We want to see what Blake Jarwin is. Dude, I think that the Cowboys offensively are going to be absolutely dynamite. The Andy Dalton thing, I think people are making too much of it. This is a guy that for the first 4 years of his career was really, really good at football. Then suddenly the Bengals weren't good. He wasn't good, and he needed a home. I'll throw it out there. I thought that he'd end up in New England. I thought he would have the chance to be that guy. But as a lot of people say, if Belichick is a believer in Jarrett Stidham, then he's going to roll with him, and he's not going to break the bank to pay some guy $7, $8, $9 million. Right.
So obviously we lost Brian Jones, but I think we did pretty good in the draft with recovering with Trayvon Diggs, Reggie Robinson Jr. I think his name is, or the third. And then we got a few pass edge rushers. I feel like the Cowboys, I think we're going to be more improved this year, in my opinion. But I just want to get your take on, do you think Dak Prescott is worth, do you think he'll get that money that he's worth or less than that?
So I think he'll end up getting paid. I do. I believe that Dak Prescott, and again, I did this actually on my radio show a couple of months ago, that I would pay Dak Prescott. You're hard-pressed to find a better guy. Now, you've got 2 free agents out there, right? Jameis Winston is probably worked out. You got Cam Newton out there, and people are going to say, well, could Cam Newton do the same type of thing, right? I don't know. I know what Dak Prescott did. If I'm a Cowboy fan and the Cowboy organization, I'm just going to pay the guy because, I know what he is. I know, I think that he's better than Tony Romo was. I feel like he's going to have a better trajectory than Tony Romo, and now he's got weapons. Why not just pay him and go with this?
Yeah. So now let's switch gears to the NBA real quick here. I saw your pictures with Allen Iverson, so I want to ask you this. What was that experience like? I see it. what was that experience like, interviewing him on your show and having him on the show? What is that experience like being with the GOAT of NBA?
Dude, I'll tell you, and also you got LeBron right here. You can see that. The
high school? Is that the high school one?
So, you know what? I'll just pull it over here. Hold on. So. Oh
wow, that's awesome. Oh, nice.
And you see it's autographed, by the way.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm 4 years older than him, and when I was 21 and he was 17, we actually played basketball together. Shot around together, whatever, hit it off, and he ended up signing. I had that magazine in my bag. He signed it for me. Sebastian Telfair signed it. But I'll get back to Iverson. So I was covering the Iverson Roundball Classic last year. It's all the best high school basketball players in America. Jamias Ramsey from Texas Tech now. He's moving on. A whole bunch of these guys, right? And I grew up. Iverson is about, 4 or 5 years older. It's like everything that I dreamt of being. Allen Iverson, I tell this story all the time to people, that he's the reason why shorter people believe they can play at a high level, right? Mm-hmm. He also made it really cool to wear baggy clothes and jerseys and all that stuff. So when I got hired for this event, I was told Allen will do, some of the media stuff, but pick and choose sometimes. So I wanted to make sure not to fanboy or anything like that, right? So I went over. I was like, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" I'm doing the broadcast. "Hey, what's up? Nice to meet you." Right? He goes out of his way at the end of day one to walk by, dap me up again, and say goodbye to me. I get a call the next day from the guy that's running the event saying, "Hey, I thought you were a cool dude. He wants to hop on the air with you during the broadcast." So I got a chance to sit on the TV broadcast, hang out with him. Yeah, it was like I've interviewed a lot of really cool people. I would put that on the list of towards the top of what I've done. Yeah.
Interesting. So my next question is, who won that horse competition between you and Ryan Hollins?
That's a good question. So here's what I'm so disappointed in myself. I was winning. I had him at HORS and I was at HOR. I missed a shot that I should have hit. I went for a little fancy shot. I missed it, and then he buried the next four. Yeah, he buried the next four, and I missed 2 out of those 4, and I ended up losing. So he beat me, but I hung with a 10-year NBA player. So not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's really good.
Ryan Hollins, Brendan Haywood, they are doing a nightly show called Opinionated on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic. Everyone should check those 2 out.
Yeah, I tuned in a few of them. They do a great job, and I'm trying to get both of them on the show here. So hopefully, but so obviously there's no games right now, and so the people I've been having on, but I've been asking this question. So I want to get your perspective on this. If they do if they do come back with the season, do you think they need a training camp first before going into the season or the playoffs, or do you think they'll go right into? Yeah.
Okay, so NBA, NHL, I'll put them both on the same page since both seasons were stopped at the same time. I do think they would need some sort of training camp. Now, what kind of training camp? I don't fully know, because we would hope that all of these millionaires, multimillionaires have some sort of hoop to be shooting on and some sort of ability to be training, right? So they're in pretty good shape. When all of this started, I remember talking to Freddie Coleman from ESPN, and I said that my idea would be, let's say for argument's sake, at the time, I thought June 1st. Now I think it's probably more like sometime in July. Yeah. If we could start, let's say July 4th. Mm-hmm. Let's say starting July 4th. Make up a date. Give me a week to warm up. Just cut the season down in games. I don't know, maybe give me five more regular season games. That takes me to August. And then I would change the playoff system. This is what I would do. I would do first round, 1 game. Second round, 3 games. Third round, which is the conference finals, 5 games. And then the championship would still be a 7-game series. And if you do the math, and I did it at the time, so if I do this quickly off my head out of July, you would end up finishing probably about the end of September, early October, which then leads into the next season, and you figure that out later. But I think that could work.
Yeah, actually, that would be like a college tournament, like one and done. Probably could be another option because to make it quicker.
You could. Now, my only problem with that though is you build a season for a reason, right? And you go all out. Like the Lakers want that number 1 seed. The Bucks wanted that number 1 seed, and they're playing guys certain amounts of times. Like I don't think that I don't know if they would want to go one and done potentially.
Yeah,
you're right. Like whatever can get the season in, let's do it.
So my next question here: what did you think of LeBron James's tweet when he said that he wants to finish the regular season before going to the playoff?
I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, I think that it was a little bit more about he wants to make sure that the season is completed.
Yeah.
What that means, whether it's 5 games, 10 games, whatever, I think that he just wants to make sure you have some sort of semblance of a season going into a playoff. Yeah. I also think that it's partially because you're looking at a guy that's, on the back end of his career years, not the back end of his playing abilities. He's playing as well as he has been. The Lakers were the hottest team in the NBA when all of this went down, when the season went bye-bye on March 11th. So he probably thinks this is one of my best chances to get championship number 4. So
obviously, Who was your MVP before this pandemic started in the NBA?
It's Giannis.
Giannis.
Most complete player, the most well-balanced player, the most consistent player. Now, if you said, who was the MVP of the last 20 games of the season, it was LeBron James. Who was the most impressive player? It might have been LeBron James, but Giannis is the MVP.
Okay. Now, before I let you go, I have a few things for you, rapid-fire questions and 2 tapes. So, do you think Kevin Durant will come back this year, or should they wait till next year?
If I was Kevin Durant and if I was in his ear, I would tell him to wait till next year. I think there's no reason to rush back. Don't risk your health. We saw what happened the last time you rushed back.
Kawhi Leonard's laugh or Kevin Hart's laugh?
Kawhi Leonard's laugh. It was a drop. When I was at NBC Sports Radio, we used to use it to drop on calling the shots with Keith Irizarry.
Yeah. Favorite food?
Steak.
Favorite hip-hop artist currently and old school?
Old school is DMX. He was my favorite, 100%. Current? I don't really like a lot of the current rappers right now. I mean, if Jada Kiss still counts as current, I'll go Jada.
Who is the funniest person on the CBS Sports Network cast in the fantasy football show?
On Tops, you mean, right?
Yeah, Tops. Yeah.
This person on Tops, it's got to be Big Fletch. London Fletcher's amazing. We get a chance, and I know this is supposed to be rapid fire really fast, so we all get in for our 8 a.m. show. We're in the studio by, we're a little about 5:45. You know, there's hair, makeup, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, production meetings. But the on-air people, we get to hang out together, and Fletch has always got something funny to say. He's great.
Thoughts on this Michael Jordan documentary so far?
It's been awesome, but episode 5 was as hard as I thought it was going to be because I grew up a Knicks fan.
Yeah, me too. I'm a Knicks fan also, unfortunately. But the last 2 things here, I've been asking this question to all my guests that come on the show about the late Kobe Bryant, getting their perspective on what he meant to them. And for you as a reporter and as a father and a husband, what has Kobe meant to you and Mama mentality and his daughter Gianna mean to you?
There's so many layers to this one. I'll tell you this. So Kobe was not one of my favorite players as I was, going through my fandom of hoops. But the thing about Kobe that always drove, I loved was his drive, right? Because there are certain players that have some failures and then they kind of just skate through. But Kobe Bryant, and you always knew it without him having to actually say it, you always saw, like you said, the Mamba mentality, that ability, all the air balls that he had that first year, and then he comes back and he refused to let that be the thing that would be his downfall. And I think the bigger thing about Kobe is the post-NBA career, because the all-time great NBA players, they're just that. They are all-time great. And all-time great players in any sport are all-time great. But Kobe then was working on, he got an Oscar, he was working on so many different things, and he was bringing such a bright light to women's sports, which was amazing, and his bond with his whole family. But we got a chance to see his bond with Gigi all the time. I mean, heartbreaking, absolutely rip your heart out. It was terrible. The passing of him and his daughter and the others in that helicopter. Kobe meant a lot to a lot. Really a really important person over the last, 25 years of a lot of us.
Well said. And before I get to the last thing, my friend James, if you know him, James Cleason, he wants you to come on his podcast also, he said. So
tell him to send me a message.
Okay.
All right. So James is going to probably want to talk hockey. So
hockey. Yeah. The last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the frontline people?
Listen, they're the real heroes, right? We're all, as the people who are sitting in our homes right now and the people who are staying safe and staying healthy and trying to adhere to what our government officials are telling us. I'm trying to do my best. If I go outside, I'm wearing masks. I don't go to stores. I order stuff in. I'm still trying to spend money and help other businesses still thrive and survive. But to everyone who's on the front lines, I mean, 100%. I mean, it's just simple. You are the true hero, and we thank all of you for everything that you guys do.
So there he is. Well said. And so all the people who are in this chat or join the chat, please. My cousin and I, we have a GoFundMe page going on right now for the frontline people and all the local food businesses. We raised over $2,000 already, and we handed out sandwiches to all the nurses, doctors, cops, and today we handed out supplies to the soup kitchen. So yeah, so if everyone please go check the link to my bio on Instagram, and if you guys can't donate, it's fine, but anything will help right now to make this go away quicker. But so the link is on my bio, and I just want to say thank you, Keith, for coming on the podcast today. You're the best. Keep up the great work. I'm looking forward to more shows for you guys, more content, and I'm really looking forward to the Fantasy Football Show because I love that show, what you guys do on this. And you and your family stay safe.
Thanks, man. Hey, everyone, check out my new virtual game show.
Oh, yeah.
We're 2 episodes in. We're taping our 3rd episode tomorrow. I've got Kelly O'Coin and Dan Soder from Billions coming on.
Oh, wow.
Called The Virtual Ring. It is a battle for virtual supremacy. We had Darius Butler and Antoine Bethea on last week, and then we had Ryan Dempster and Steven Nelson on in week number 1. I've got my show's booked out already for 6-7 weeks. We've got singers coming on. I've got other athletes coming on. I've got other reporters coming on. So everyone definitely check that out. It's The Virtual Ring on Facebook, and then you obviously can follow me on all the social media platforms to check it out as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I watched the one with Darius Butler and Antoine Bethea. That's really good what you're doing. Yeah, but I'll be posting this interview on Twitter, Instagram.